Kill me, I'm here! Kill me!
Hey everybody, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of Click, the 2006 Adam Sandler movie. And before I get into my thoughts about Click, I just want to give you a bit of an idea of my thoughts on Adam Sandler. Now, back in the day, like a lot of people my age, I was a huge fan of him, like back in the Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison days, and like I used to love his comedy. I used to like love his movies when I was growing up. And even I liked a lot of the stuff that was kind of mid-level. Like I thought Spanglish was a decent enough movie. Punch Drunk Love I thought was amazing, and yeah, he's definitely been in some pretty solid movies. On the other hand, I absolutely abhor the majority of his recent movies. Jack and Jill is one of the worst pieces of crap I've ever seen in my entire life, and you know the list goes on and on of like bad Adam Sandler movies these days. And yeah, it's amazing to see just how thoroughly the guy has dropped off. However, I have a bit of an unpopular opinion of the movie Click. From what I've seen out there, it seems like most people will definitely pack Click in with the rest of his terrible movies, like That's My Boy and the aforementioned Jack and Jill. But personally, I actually think it's a pretty good movie. There's definitely some moments in it that are pretty lowbrow that don't necessarily appeal to me as an adult these days. But for me, it actually is surprisingly emotional in scenes. And there are a couple of moments in this movie that make me pretty upset and like almost tear up. I'm not going to say exactly what they are because both of them are come later in the movie, and I don't want to give spoilers. But basically, one involves his dad, and one involves his wife and kids. And both moments to me were very emotional and very well done. And you know, you could say that they were manipulative, and there's a degree of truth to that, but they were effective, I thought. And so both those scenes I liked. I was very surprised at the angle that this movie ends up going. Like when it starts out, and it's, you know, he's for the few of you who don't know what Click is, it's a guy who gets a remote where he has control over his life, so he can pause people or turn their volume off or pause time or what have you. And you know, there's some moments early on where, like, you know, there's a woman who's running and he puts her on slow motion so you can see her boobs bounce. And you know, I'm not going to complain about watching some boobs bounce, but it's not exactly, you know, super intelligent or mature content by any stretch of the imagination. But at the same time, there's definitely some stuff that comes later, and partway through the movie, all of a sudden there's a pretty big shift in the type of movie it is. It goes from being all about the kind of low-hanging fruit comedy to being about some bigger ideas, and it surprised me that it tackled that kind of content, considering, you know, that certainly isn't the type of thing that Sandler's known for these days. And for the most part in his career, even early on, he didn't really tackle things that were, you know, very big ideas. He generally went for, you know, some pretty, like I said before, some pretty lowbrow stuff. I mean, some of it's great. You know, I still think the swing with the hips line will be forever stuck in my brain. But overall, I was surprised by where this movie went, and actually I quite enjoy this movie. You know, I'm not going to sit back and tell you it's like one of my all-time favorites, because it certainly isn't, but I'd say it's in the upper echelon of Adam Sandler movies, which, again, you know, that there's not that much competition for that threshold these days, going past that threshold these days. But you know, I actually like this movie, and you know, like I said before, I know there are a lot of people who absolutely hate it and think it's terrible, but I also wonder if some of the people who say that, or some of the comments that you see where it's listed as being one of his worst, I wonder if all those people have actually seen the movie, or if they watched the first half of it and turned it off because it was not very funny, or what. Because you know, there's definitely some Adam Sandler tropes in this that are pretty disappointing. Like the guy clearly makes movies in order to cast gorgeous women as his wife, because if you think Kate Beckinsale would ever marry a guy like him, that seems pretty improbable. I mean, he seems to have a decent job, but you know, he's not filthy rich, and he's batting pretty above his average there. But you know, overall, I actually think it's a pretty solid movie. And you know, you could say that part of that is low expectations, because you know, I don't expect a whole hell of a lot out of an Adam Sandler movie these days, but whatever the reason, I think it's actually pretty solid. So those are my thoughts on Click. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you think it's a piece of garbage, let me know. If you think I'm completely off the mark and you need some brain surgery to fix my Click enjoyment, let me know. Please hit that like button. It does amazing things for my channel. And if you're new, please hit subscribe. And even if you've been around for a while and you haven't hit that notification bell yet, please do that. I love talking to you guys about movies, and I love having you come here when I release something and get the opportunity to give you my thoughts on it. So other than that, have yourself a nice day.